Babylon is a 2022 American epic period black comedy drama film written and directed by Damien Chazelle. It features an ensemble cast including Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Calva, Jean Smart, Jovan Adepo, and Li Jun Li. It chronicles the rise and fall of multiple characters during Hollywood's transition from silent to sound films in the late 1920s. Chazelle began developing the film in July of 2019 as a frontrunner to acquire the project. It was announced that Paramount Pictures had acquired worldwide rights in November of 2019. Much of the main cast joined the project between January 2020 and August of 2021, and filming took place in Los Angeles from July to October of 2021. Babylon premiered at the Samuel Goldwyn Theatre in Los Angeles on November 14, 2022, and was released in the United States on December 23rd. The film polarized critics, who generally praised its cinematography, score, editing, production design, lead performances, and themes, but was sharply divided on its graphic content and runtime. It was a box office bomb, however, grossing $63 million against a production of $78 to $80 million. The film received 5 nominations at the 80th Golden Globe Awards, including Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, and winning Best Original Score. 9 nominations at the 28th Critics' Choice Awards, including Best Picture, 3 nominations at the 76th British Academy Film Awards, and 3 nominations at the 95th Academy Awards. The cast includes Brad Pitt as Jack Conrad, a benevolent but troubled, oft-married film star who battles to transition from silent film era to the talkies. Margot Robbie as Nellie Leroy, a brash, ambitious, self-declared star who eventually carves out a career for herself in the silent film industry. Calva as Manuel or Manny Torres, a Mexican immigrant who works his way up the ladder in Hollywood. Jean Smart as Eleanor St. John, a gossip columnist in Hollywood at the time. Jovan Adepo as Sidney Palmer, an African-American jazz trumpeter. Li Jun Li as Lady Fire Jew, a Chinese-American lesbian cabaret singer. And Tobey Maguire as James McKay, a strange and enigmatic eccentric gangster. Originally Emma Stone, whom Chazelle had worked with on La La Land in 2016, was cast in the role of Nellie Leroy, but unfortunately Stone had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts. She was later replaced by Margot Robbie. The character of Jack Conrad, played by Brad Pitt, appears to be based on John Gilbert, a leading MGN star of the 1920s. Talkies revealed to be a many apparent mismatch between his soft voice and his dashing on-screen persona, leading to dwindling roles, a drinking problem, and a death by heart attack in 1936 at just the age of 38. Gilbert's voice was not the famed falsetto the public had been led to believe it was. Louis B. Mayer tried to force Gilbert to quit his contract by giving him subpar talkies with mediocre directors. On his first talkie, Mayer instructed the sound engineers to remove the bass in his voice, leading to a softer and higher tone. The scene where Jack watches audiences laugh as he's seen saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you," was exactly what happened to Gilbert. Mayer vowed to destroy Gilbert's career, as Gilbert had hit Mayer after announcing he was marrying his co-star, and Mayer said, "Why do you have to marry her? Just sleep with her." As Gilbert's career grounded to a halt, he descended into alcoholism, which led him to dying at a relatively young age. Many of his films have been destroyed or lost. Nellie Leroy can be seen icing her nipples between takes whilst filming. This practice was a trademark of Jean Harlow back in the day. When Jack Conrad arrives at the party, he is speaking Italian. His wife says he is from Shawnee. Brad Pitt is actually from Shawnee, Oklahoma. Olivia Hamilton's character is based on Dorothy Arnzer, one of the first female directors in early Hollywood and the inventor of the boom mic. Due to technical restrictions of early talkies, she asked to put microphone on a fishing rod to avoid restricting actors' movements. The movie's title refers to Babylonia, a city founded around the 19th century BCE in what is now modern-day Iraq. According to the Bible, Babylonia became a large and splendorous city over the years, but decayed into vice. It was dissolved in the early Middle Ages when invaded by the Arabs. An early scene in which an extremely overweight man apparently kills a much younger woman during sex is a reference to the encounter between Virginia Rapp and Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle in September of 1921. Rapp's bladder ruptured during sex, resulting in a fatal infection. In the period between the injury and her death, Rapp and her friend, Maud Delmont, accused Arbuckle of rape. William Randolph Hearst created a moral panic by running a series of completely fictionalized stories in his newspapers, accusing Arbuckle of a variety of crimes and sensationalizing the details of Rapp's assault. Arbuckle's films were banned and he was tried for 3 times in 1921 and 1922. The first 2 trials ended in hung juries and the third ended in acquittal. Delmont later admitted the sex was consensual and that she and Rapp would have recanted their accusations in exchange for a sizable payment. Arbuckle died 11 years later in 1933 at the age of 46, just as he was starting to find film work again. The film depicts the extreme excesses of the film industry in the early mid-1920s, just before the Old Hays Code, named after William H. Hayes. Not explained in the movie, in the late 1920s, the out-of-control lifestyle in Hollywood of that year's wild parties, sex, alcohol, drugs, and all kinds of depravities and libertine behaviors caused a series of scandals that major studios tried to stop and give more respectable, distinguished, and elegant image to the audience. Hayes, a prominent right-wing politician and a deacon in the Presbyterian Church, was designed to put order after the infamous Fatty Arbuckle incident mentioned earlier. Hayes' Code changed Hollywood over the decades to control actors and actresses outside filming sets, banning on-screen nudity and drug use, as well as reducing strongly the role of women in movies. Although from the late 1940s the code started to erode, it prevailed until 1966, when Jack Valentina, last of the Hayes Code protectors after Joseph Breen and Eric Johnson, derogated to replace it for a new rating system still active and in use since then. Now, where do I even begin to review a movie like this? It's almost an overwhelming, exhausting, and completely outrageous film. Far too long, far too bombastic at times, with the lead character here played by Diego Calva as Manny, who falls tragically short of what the leading man should be in a film, especially this large. In saying that, though, it is well acted by the cast, well crafted, it's glamorous, it's glitzy, and it's a film that you will surely never forget soon. Now, I'm a big fan of Chazelle's work, from the fantastic Whiplash to, of course, the wonderful La La Land, but this film, he really just goes completely off the rocks here. It's a huge, ambitious project, and I have to commend him for trying to take it on and deliver it into a movie. But making it 3 hours is just far, far too long. I had to watch this film in 2 parts, as it's just too long to sit and watch for. I feel this is a problem with a lot of Hollywood movies today. You need to make the runtime slot shorter. There's a lot of editing that could have been done in this film, for example. Therefore, I found this film very much self-indulgent. Like I said, it's an actually very well-made movie. The cast performances are on point, the score is magnificent, and once again, Justin Hurwitz hits it out the park with these fantastic compositions. I just love his music and his interpretation of the music of the time. Like I said, the cinematography, costume, and production design are absolutely outstanding. And it's certainly not a film I didn't sit back and enjoy at times. There are, of course, plenty of times that the film just tries to shock you, and I feel almost that's what it's trying too strongly to do. Shock you with scenes that will leave you dismayed and wincing in absolute sheer amazement at what you've just seen on screen. I know what Chazelle was going for. He was trying to represent what the film industry was like back then. They had through parties like this. It was a complete breakdown of society and complete and utter debauchery. But I think he keeps going back to it. He keeps trying to shock you at the whole time as a viewer, and eventually it loses its effect. The performances here, particularly from Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt, are outstanding. Brad Pitt brings his usual casual, nonchalant style to the film, and Margot Robbie is completely over the top and energetic here as Nellie Leroy, but she's absolutely stunning, and there's literally no role that this actress can't seem to pull off. My biggest gripe, unfortunately, has to go with Diego Calva. I'm not upset with the way he acted. I think it's the direction he was given. A lot of the time he just has to sit there and stare blankly at this absolute amazement of what's going on around him. He of course is absolutely infatuated here with Nellie Leroy. But there's no depth to his character, and Diego doesn't bring him to life in a way that makes him likable or enjoyable. I never felt sympathy for him. I never really wanted him to win the goal in the end. I just didn't really care for him much at all, in fact. This is a film that I feel could have been so much more, had it been more tightly edited, a slightly less longer running time, more focus on character development than just shocking scenes of debauchery. This could have been a groundbreaking film that could have taken home a huge amount of wins at the Oscars. It's a beautifully artistic film. It is well made, it's well put together, but there's just so many shortcomings, and I feel Chazelle maybe needed to be reeled in a bit. In saying all of that, though, there's a lot to take from it, and I did find myself enjoying it mostly, albeit somewhat disappointed with certain aspects. Babylon is certainly a film that you will never forget anytime soon. Just the opening scene alone just completely and utterly blows you away, and with its fantastic performances here, particularly from Robbie and Pitt, and of course its outstanding soundtrack, it is a film that will go down as one to think about and remember, albeit sometimes for the wrong reasons as well. Babylon gets a 7.5 out of 10.